What's up?
This was discussed a little bit in the pop-off session, but given the high-profile nature of the petition case, should someone in the city attorney's office or someone in your office have been watching more closely the filings in that case? I know you said that there are 1,000 lawsuits pending.
Literally, there are 1,000 lawsuits pending.
But
People sue the city all the time.
But should that have been watched more closely?
Probably. I think this was, there's nothing in any way illegal or inappropriate in these attorneys taking the actions they did. Remember, we were responding to someone who sued us, but they're clearly not part of the political process. They're not aware of the political sensitivities, and they were just doing what they do, and they are very experienced litigators and very, very well qualified. So, yes, in hindsight, we should have been more involved. And as I pointed out last week, neither the city attorney or I knew anything about it until the first time we heard about it was Tuesday night. We talked about it last Wednesday. We pulled the subpoenas down, refocused them on what the problem was, and now it's being monitored by the city attorney's office.
I sort of a similar question about the review of the petitions themselves, that there seemed to be some miscommunication between the city secretary's office and the city attorney's office, that the final memo that came out, the city secretary believed that she had counted the sufficient number. And then
there was no miscommunication. They have two different functions in the process. And we explained that at the time. And as was pointed out, and we provided the media with the records from the last time, there hadn't been this kind of a repeal process since, I think, 1992. And so we had to go back and look at what the process was then. And the process then, the petitions were reviewed both ways, and they actually qualified both ways. This time the petitions were reviewed both ways, and they only qualified one way.
But in terms of during the review process that both of those offices were doing, should there not have been more communication? Because the city secretary believed, look, I hit this number, and then she comes in.
Well, the city secretary actually, what she said to me was that if the city attorney had done his work first, she wouldn't have had to count all those petitions. But I think I probably would have directed her to do it anyway, because again, this is a citizen initiative. We owe the citizens full opportunity to express their concern about things that we do down here. They didn't have enough qualifying signatures, and it is a two-step review.
But you sort of hinted at it there, though. I mean, in terms of had the city attorney done his process first, then she wouldn't have had to do all that. Should there not have been more coordination to have a clearer result instead of the memo?
I don't think there was anything unclear about the memo or anything unclear about. I mean, we were clear. It didn't meet the standards set out in the city charter. We didn't write the city charter. We haven't changed the city charter. The last time it was done was in 1992. You know, we do really well at the city on things that we do regularly, things that pop up occasionally. Sometimes we don't get out of the starting gate quite as fast as we should, but the ultimate result would not have changed. The petitions would have been disqualified, and if we hadn't counted them, I'm assuming that at some point a judge might have ordered us to do it. So this is belt and suspenders. We did the individual signatures, and then we vetted them against the standard laid out in the charter about how they have to be collected. And the petition process is the heart of the lawsuit that the city of Houston is defending. And that's why our questions are focused on what instructions were given on how to fill out the petitions.
I guess to ask a different way, the critics of the process or the ordinance or whatever, the people involved in the lawsuit certainly point to the memo as being confusing, and point to the subpoena that says that her staff point to previous statements of the process.
The petition process and the memo and the lawsuit defense, two completely separate activities. And they're not directly related to each other. The process of certifying the signatures, there's a time limit involved. And if we're going to count the individual signatures, Ms. Russell has to start almost immediately because we only have 30 days to complete the process. Again, if Dave and the legal department's review had started first, Ms. Russell wouldn't have had to count signatures. But then if his review had dragged out and they actually had enough qualifying pages, then Ms. Russell starts her process. You know, it's a chicken and egg argument. We think we did fine, but they didn't meet the standard laid out in the city charter.
I guess to the point, do you think these
Okay, you've asked me like 4 ways. I hope we get to a different point this time.
Do you think these controversies are driven more by internal missteps of any kind, or by the nature of the issue and the?
This is about the nature. This is about the nature of the issue. The process we used internally was appropriate. It, you know, Ms. Russell counts petitions on a regular basis. She did exactly the same thing she always does, except that this is a very unusual type of petition process. It's been more than 20 years since the last time that we did it, and it involves 2 different levels of review, and so it is what it is. But the reason you know, the only controversy comes because there are folks who don't like the result. We had, if after review and